Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, August 9th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, the title of today's broadcast, The Market is in Balance. The market remains in balance once again yesterday and in the overnight. So let's just zoom out real quick and take a look at the daily for some perspective here. So if we look at the daily, we can see that the market is balancing in a channel, okay? So what happened yesterday was that we went up first thing in the morning. We tested that high, that channel high, failed to break out, and so then we turned around and started heading back down towards that channel low. Now, we didn't quite test it in the overnight, so I have that area marked on my chart, on the market profile chart down here, with this little green line. That's the basic area where I would be looking for the market to find support if that trend line is going to hold today. And of course, if we push down here and we find some support, I would look for a trade up to the opposite end of balance, which would be that upper trend line. And of course, the target would be the repair of the poor high we left behind yesterday at 41.88. Okay? If we break through this trend line, if we start to break down and head lower, well, then I would look for a break out of balance that could lead to excess to the downside. So that could be very bearish. I also wanted to make note this morning when I looked at the NQ of the fact that the NQ does not seem to be channeling like the ES. It seems to be doing a vertical balance here. So if that's the case, they would have tested that balance area low in the overnight and be looking to turn around and head higher. But dun, 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 dun. Then I just thought, you know what? I'll glance at the daily. I'll give the daily a little peekaboo just to confirm that that looks like balance. And then what did I find? Uh-oh. Right now, at this very moment, the NQ is getting rejected off a line I marked all the way back here in April. I drew this and extended it out. So seeing that the market is running out of steam right directly on that downtrend, which is the larger momentum, the larger bearish momentum in the market, that is a little bit bearish to see as well. So same thing with the ES. If you break your balance area low, which you're basically opening right on top of, right? If you see it as a vertical balance, this was one balance, a breakout, this is another balance. Well, then you're literally about to break that balance area low today, and that would be bearish because it would target heading down to the opposite end of the previous balance, and it would be bearish because it would be a rejection right at that larger downtrend, that larger momentum to the downside. So that would be like super bearish, essentially, if the NQ heads lower today. Now, if it doesn't, if it finds support first thing in the morning and it turns around and starts heading back up to the balance area high, well, then that would be great because that would be how you would expect a market to work its way through that kind of downtrend, is you'd expect it to have to grind and fight its way through to finally break to the upside. So it's kind of like, it's not bearish yet, but man, if the market breaks lower this morning, it gets real bearish real quick. I would essentially say if 13,074, if that area breaks, down she goes. And of course, if the NQ takes a tumble, it can take the ES with it. So I'm coming into the morning pretty neutral here, just looking for more information. Assuming the market's going to stay in balance, assuming we're going to find support and turn around and head right back up. But I'm going to have to wait and see. We are opening inside the previous day's range, so that increases the odds that we're going to get chopped this morning. The market is going to grind up and down. So I will be looking for support basically between 41.17 and 41.20 in this area down here, and resistance in this node right around the overnight, or this node right around, this node from yesterday, or this node right around the overnight. So I'm essentially expecting chop in here. If the market can work its way back up through the POC from the overnight, if it can work its way above 41.46, I would look for support there for continuation to the upside. At the very least to test the overnight high, but then to head up towards yesterday's high. But as long as we're in between this level here and this level here, between like 46 and 17, chop is the most likely outcome. So, Charles, are you bullish or bearish, man? The market's open. Tell us. I am neither. The market is in balance. I will require further information to develop a biases. A bias. Biases. And so the market began to chop. It chopped up through the opening price. It chopped down through the opening price. Okay, so the next target to the downside is repairing the weak reference we left behind at yesterday's low. If we do break yesterday's low, we would then target testing the overnight low. Okay, there's the repair of yesterday's weak low, and we are now targeting a test of the overnight low. Screwball, NQ gap, and go. Did the NQ gap? Oh, it did. Yeah, it's a gap and go on the Q. That's bearish. And we're breaking that potential balance area low, which is bearish. Buyers need to step in and defend right away on the Q. Look at that, completely off the charts. The heck's going on here? All right, so now do we get resistance at the halfback? If so, that would be a little bit bearish. If we pass right back through it, then it's just continued chop. There you go. The chop continues. Well, while the market is just chopping around being boring here, I've got a little announcement to make I'm super excited about. After some discussion a while back in the brigade, I've decided to pull the trigger on a new little project. It is a book club. Whoop, whoop. I'm starting a Traders Book Club. So the way it's going to work is the last Wednesday of every month, we'll do a Zoom call. Anybody who wants to be involved in the book club, who wants to get on the call and have a conversation about a book, is welcome to join the Zoom call. And anybody that doesn't want to participate but wants to watch can watch a live stream that will be going at the same time of it. And yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to it than that. It's a book club. So the way we'll do it is the first week I will both host and I'll discuss the book, do like a little presentation of the book. But then what I'd like to do is moving forward, somebody new can be like a different presenter every month. So, a member of the brigade can choose to volunteer to do it the next month and so on and so forth. And we'll vote at the end of each book club. We'll vote for what book we're going to do the next month. And basically just once a month, we get together for an hour or so and we talk about a trading related book that we like. And just have some conversation, have some fun. So I made a website. You can see the link is there in the description. tradersbookclub.com. If you go in there and you scroll down to the very bottom, you can sign up for the email list. And that is how I will send out all the communications for that. So if you are interested in joining a book club, you might consider throwing your email in there. The first book is going to be Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. We're going to do it at the last day of this month is the last Wednesday, so the 31st. And if you have not read Reminiscence, you got about 3 weeks. Get after it. Join the party. So yeah, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom and then just right here where it says join the club, pop in your old email. You can also click on the book and it'll take you to Amazon to buy it. It's available in paperback, hardback, and the audiobook. Also, while we're bored and waiting, let's take a look at Bitcoin on the daily. Man, talk about a market imbalance. Butcher spell the author, Charles? Did I misspell his name? I copied and pasted it. From Amazon, so hopefully not. It's the same as it is on the book. Mill, does someone have a template for NinjaTrader with the graphic Charles uses? Yeah, there are market profile options in there. There's if you have the full version, it's in there, and then there's also like third-party options as well. You're looking for market profile or TPO charts? TPO, time price opportunity. All right, well, the NQ is holding on by the skin of its teeth here. We have good taper at the low. So now the question is, can they get back up through the opening price? Can they get back up through 13,100? If so, I'd be looking for a gap fill and then see if they get resistance at yesterday's low, 13,121. Resistance at yesterday's low would be bearish as a gap and go. But if they're able to pull back up into yesterday's range, that would be a little bit bullish, as it would increase the odds that we do have a balance area and that this was a look below and fail, right? That this is a balance area in here and that this morning was the look below that could send us back up. But first, we got to fill the gap and see if we get resistance there. One step at a time as the chop continues. CCT, are we still choppy or finding support? Well, both can be true. The market can be building up support, but still be chopping. And the chopping is what's giving it a chance to build the support. Right now, I would say I'm not confident one way or the other. Particularly with the NQ still below yesterday's low. That's more bearish. So we'll let them chop it up and make up their mind. Then we'll join the party. Ben, last two trading days, market has danced around 41.30. Yes, sir. The market will do that. So when the market is in balance, another way to describe that is there's indecision, right? Half the people think it's going to go up, half the people think it's going to go down, and they can't really decide. So when a market is in that sort of tone, when it's in that place, it likes to do business where it's done business before. So you will notice it will keep coming back to the same levels over and over again. And when it gets there, it'll rotate up and down on that level for hours. Like, that's just kind of like the uncertainty. That's a safe place to do business. So the market heads there and then slows down and wastes time in the safe place, waiting for new information. We got 206 people hanging out, but only 56 likes. I know Chop is boring, but don't blame it on the pirate. Give me that thumbs up, pretty please. I sure would appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Showing the love. Okay. Thank you for the heads up. I'll look into that. Great. Day one of a new website and already technical glitches. I hate my life. All I wanted to do was be a trader and somehow ended up a web designer. Butcher, tomorrow CPI? Oh, for sure. Yeah, if CPI is tomorrow, then we could have a very boring rotational day as the big dogs wait for more information. The big dogs. That's what we should start calling them. Who's in the house? The big dog. Ben, do you find the live stream keeps you sharp and accountable? Or are you searching for fame? Oh, fame, bro. I want my face on billboards. Bright lights, big city. No. People that know me know the exact opposite. I hate my face being out there. No, I'm not doing it to be famous. Does it help me stay sharp and accountable? Accountable, yeah. You guys never let me get away with anything. If I'm just a little bit wrong, there's always somebody to call me out on it. Staying sharp and accountable, sure, yeah. It's going to sound cliche, but my favorite part about it now, honestly, is like the thank you emails. I know you think I'm full of shit, but really, when you get an email from somebody who's like, I've been struggling for years and I took your course and now 2 months later I'm finally profitable, it's like, it makes you feel like you matter to the world. You're not just some guy sitting alone in his living room just making money every day, having no effect on anyone. I matter, damn it. To that one anonymous emailer, I matter. All right, so we're getting some resistance now at halfback. That's a little bit bearish to see. And the Q could not get back up and fill that gap, so it is still a gap and go as they head back down to test the low. Bearish, do my feelings go? If we have a gap and go. Well, Eon Futures, I sure appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Means the world. All right, so you got all four of the internals looking bearish. We're heading down to test the overnight low, which is a little bit bearish. You got value overlapping to lower from yesterday, which is a little bit bearish. And you got the NQ being bearish AF. So this is the ES's last chance here to find some support at what would be the trend line on the daily I was talking about earlier. What the heck happened to it? That's weird. All right, so as we push our way back up, having tested that overnight low, if we get resistance pretty much anywhere here below the opening price, that will trigger me to be bearish, looking for further downside continuation. Next support for the Q, 12,960. Push it into that support right now for the ES. All right, resistance at the overnight low on the ES is a little bit bearish, so I'm going to go ahead and get bearish on the market here. As long as we stay below the opening price, 41.34, I will remain bearish. There is a chance we could find support right here and turn around and head right back up through. But there'll be plenty of money to be made to the upside after we pass through the opening price. Until then, I think the bears are taking control of this market. Ben, short the 41.17 break could be a play. Yeah, short after the break into resistance, certainly. But you could short right now for the break. You've got a lot of signals. Value is lower. You're getting resistance at the overnight low. NQ broke out of balance. That increases the odds of excess to the downside. So there's a lot of bearishness in this market. But yeah, if you want to wait for final confirmation, wait till 17 breaks and then sell the resistance after that. It might pull back up to the overnight low. Okay, so the B period just created a poor low. That increases the odds that the market will push away to the upside, looking for resistance, and then come back down to repair that poor low. If it immediately repairs it, that is more bearish. And it immediately repaired it. So you now have the initial balance to the downside as well, which is a little bit bearish. Okay, if this overnight low does hold a support, that would be a little bit more bearish, as that would be a sign of a potential beginning of a trend, right? Building a node of volume, pushing lower, and building a node of volume lower. That is a sign we are beginning to trend lower. The alternative being building a node, pushing lower, coming back up and testing that node for resistance, then continuing. That's much less bearish to see than building a node, pushing lower, and building a new node at lower prices, as the node down here is a sign of new sellers piling on. Kathy, so you think the trend line support will break? I do not know. That's the thing. I would say intraday, the market is very bearish right now, but there's nothing stronger than those daily support buyers, those swing traders. So if they want to defend, they most certainly can. I will say, though, every time we push up to that overnight low and get more resistance, we increase the odds that trend line is going to break. It's like they're poking at it, coming back up, building up more steam, poking at it, building up more steam, poking at it. They just keep poking. Eventually, they'll poke through. Jim Dalton talks about support lines as a semi-impermeable membrane. The more times you poke at it, the weaker it gets. Rockingham, down to the week low from August 2nd. Yeah, easily. If this breaks, yeah. So you can basically just take a range. It's harder to do when it's a channel like this, but you can pretty much just take the range of the channel. You know, what type of volatility was it, and expect that much excess once it breaks out of balance, equal to the range of the balance. So yeah, we could easily pull back down. But first, we got to get these buyers to quit. Got to liquidate some buyers. Man, these buyers keep getting smacked down right at that overnight low. I'm beginning to dislike the exactness of the sellers there. They are clearly weaker. They're trying to force the market down. Sometimes the market has to rally before it can break. We may need to pop through and test this resistance before we go lower. TI, welcome. Thank you for the sub. And thank you to the 115 heroes out there that smashed that like button. Sure do appreciate that. All right, the support is holding. Heading up towards halfback, 41.2850. Looking for resistance there. Chilma Dylan says might want to test the open again. I don't think so. I think if they can get back to the opening price, then, you know, they're going to squeeze all the sellers. So I suspect the highest they can really push it is 31. If they're going to keep the momentum going to the downside. One random little nuance that's worth mentioning is the fact that the value area is butting up right against the low of the day. It's not an exact science. It doesn't always work out, but I tend to notice the market generally needs a bit more excess to the downside when it has the value area pushing right up against the low of the day. Now, alternatively, we have good taper and good excess on the low. So if the market turns around and starts to trade higher and it pulls the value area up, well, that would be how they would fix that. But for the moment, that also sends me a signal that the selling is not quite over yet. Value is completely lower than yesterday, and it's up against the low of the day. Nap is at a 45-degree angle from the high on the Q. Yes, it is. Good catch. I didn't even notice that. 45-degree angle implies very strong resistance. If we do get back up there. But we've got miles and miles to go before we think about that. Scooball says, if this support holds, it's a look below and fail. I think that's what's happening right now. Well, like I said, we'll know once it passes back through that opening price. The market will tell us. It found support, and it's heading back up to yesterday's high. But first, it's got to get through the resistance. The resistance that is only now finally being tested. Screwball, all day traders shorting. This short's going to run out. Well, the alternative would be the fact that the sellers just got their first pullback, right? They came down, they broke that overnight low, and then they got stuck down here. So this B period is the first chance that a stronger hand seller has had to get onto the move. So I don't think we give up on sellers just yet. Element making me want to go long, Screwball. Yeah, don't do it, man. Wait for the confirmation. Like I said, if we're going to get a rotation up to the opposite end of balance, there's plenty of money to be made from above the opening price to repair yesterday's high. No reason to get in down here on an assumption before that information is confirmed. All right, so testing the overnight low for resistance once again. Did they bring in enough sellers to finally poke through this support? Nap, Screwball, balling with the innovators. Yeah, I mean, a hair late to be an innovator because they would have been buying the first time we pushed into the trend line support, you know? But yeah. Well, technically, MM, if you want to get really technical, they shorted the high yesterday. That was the beginning of this move down, right? So it was the innovators that were down here. It was the innovators up here. It was the innovators down here, up here, down here, up here. And that would be them again getting in down here. They wouldn't be getting in right there. Now, if it broke, came back up and got resistance, John, the breath, the VOLD. Yeah, that's the one I pay the least amount of attention to. But it's essentially the way to read it is just, is it trending a certain direction? Is it trending higher or is it trending lower? Bullish if it's trending higher, bearish if it's trending lower. And then is it above or below the zero line? Bearish below, bullish above. And it's just, it's honestly the thing I pay the absolute least attention to. Because it's the slowest, it's the most lagging of all the indicators. It's good sometimes to offer like an alternative perspective. If the market looks like it's really strong and it looks like it's heading higher, but you've got the breadth trending lower, then you say to yourself, wait a minute, what am I not seeing here? It kind of like gives you a signal to pay attention, but I don't ever get a signal to enter a trade based on that. Too much of a lagging indicator. They're starting to turn the chat. Scooball's over here, negative ticks all morning. Price not going lower. That's what happens at a balance area. Fighter pilot, seller's not getting much. Pitter, good call. The B period high is weak, as it is one tick from yesterday's low. Nap, lots of volume, support, question mark. Again, guys, we don't know. I love how I'll tell you guys ahead of time what to expect, and then before that thing happens, you're asking. Like I've already told you, if we break the support here, we're going lower as a breakout of balance. If we get back through the opening price up here, we're going higher as a look below and fail. Don't know until one of those two things happens. The momentum is to the downside. Value is lower. We've had selling all day. That's the only information I have right now. Until I get new information, that's the way it is. I can't tell you nothing else. Anything beyond that is just guessing. And I tend to lose money when I try to guess. Better to just follow what the market is telling me. Right now, it's saying value is lower. NQ is saying gap and go. The momentum is to the downside. David Keaton, dude, that's the truest thing ever. And it always cracks me up. It always cracks me up that it's like the times where I don't know what the market is doing is when the chat needs me to. It's like when I'm confident and it's doing exactly what I think, nobody cares. But when I have uncertainty, then they all want certainty. Man, the subs are coming in today. Ryan, welcome. All right, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to bid you all farewell, au revoir, and say goodbye here. It's starting to look like we're getting support. We got the ticks trending higher. Can they stay above the zero line, or do they get smacked right back down? If they can stay above the zero line, they can try to get through that opening price once again, 41.3350. If they fail to do so, I still see this as bearish and would expect the market to go lower. But if they can get back up through that opening price at 33.50, then it's a look below and fail, and things get bullish very, very quickly, which looks like it's about to happen as we speak. So essentially, if that's the case, if we push back through the opening price, then I'll be bullish as a look below and fail that's targeting the opposite end of balance. So I would be looking for it to push up, come back down, and then I'd be looking to buy the support when it comes back down for continuation to the upside. But it wouldn't even cross my mind until we cross through that opening price, as the momentum is still to the downside. NQ still has a gap and go. With that, I bid you all farewell, and we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Thank you kindly. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up on your way out the door.